Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rogue Eye Media. My name is Schlerf, and today we are going to be taking a kind of spin on the rumor mill, specifically for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Kind of to this point, since I made a video like back in December about the Spider-Man 4 rumors, I've kind of taken a break from discussing it just basically because there were so many rumors going out there and they were all so conflicting, and it appeared that nobody, whether a scooper or reliable source or Marvel themselves, knew what this movie was going to be and what the contents of it were going to be, besides some like the cast and the director. So I kind of just took a break from discussing it for a while, but this is the first time now that we're getting closer to filming because we'll talk about that a little bit today. But this movie comes out after Fantastic Four in July. It's the next Marvel movie to come out. I think it's July 24th. So obviously they're trying to enter production soon. So we're starting to get more reliable reports about what could come to be in this movie and who could be in this movie. And we've already gotten a couple confirmed cast members, obviously in the past couple months. Obviously Tom Holland's returning as Spider-Man. Liza Colon-Zayas is joining the cast and playing an unknown role. Sadie Sink joined back over. I don't know. I think that was in either December or January, or maybe it was. I don't even know when she joined. But Sadie Sink joined the cast as well. We still don't know who she's playing. And obviously Zendaya and Jacob Batalon as Ned Leeds are both likely as well. So anyway, with all that said, I've been trying to avoid it up until this point, but now we have a more reliable source and a couple other reliable sources backing it up. A report about Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner slash Hulk coming in and returning as that character in Brand New Day. So I'm going to kind of discuss this report, say what I think about it. Um, if you don't know, fans have kind of uncovered the fact that for the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, obviously the rights are kind of shared with Sony and Marvel. They make them kind of in tandem. And one of the mandates that Sony has made for the Tom Holland movies, from Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, now to Brand New Day, they've made a mandate that there must be one, at least one MCU guest star in the movies. So obviously for Homecoming, it was Tony Stark. For Far From Home, it was Nick Fury, and then for No Way Home, it was Doctor Strange. So we're suspecting that this Bruce Banner appearance is following in that trend, and this will be the kind of MCU guest star of the movie, which is very interesting. I'm going to get into that. But that's just kind of the context here is that if this rumor is true, and I'll talk about the reliability right in a second, but if this rumor is true, it would be expected that this is the MCU guest star for this movie. That doesn't mean other MCU characters can appear, but like as a supporting character, this will be the kind of biggest non-Tom Holland character, which is expected, or that's what's expected. So yeah, this report is coming from Nexus Point News, and I will, if I remember, I'll leave a link in the description. You can read for yourselves. But they are a not an outlet like Deadline Variety, so this still has to be taken as a grain of salt because this has not been confirmed by those trades outlets. This has not been confirmed by like a Deadline or Variety yet. But as far as reliable sources go that are not those main outlets, this is one of the most reliable ones, and they have been pretty on point recently, actually, with Hunger Games castings for the new Hunger Games movie. So like you can trust them, and they have been reliable in the past, and they have been reliable recently. So it is very likely, I would say, about a 90% chance that this report is true. And yeah, so they said not only that. Well, I'll get into the other thing later, but yeah, they said Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner will be returning in Brand New Day. They didn't really offer any insight on what's going to happen, so that's kind of what my role is today, to kind of figure out how this would fit in. Um, my initial reaction to this is, to be honest, a bit confused and disappointed. I'm not like dooming the movie. I don't think this is going to make it terrible or anything. At the end of the day, you still can just put faith in the people that are making it, and I like Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, obviously, but I think I was hoping for someone who kind of made more sense with the movie we think they're going to tell. Obviously, now that they've delayed Doomsday to be after this movie, and this movie now releases before Doomsday, it's very widely expected that this will be a kind of grounded street level story, with minimal connections to Doomsday until probably the end of the movie or like a post credit scene. So not much multiverse like No Way Home was, obviously after the fresh start at the end of No Way Home that Tom Holland's Peter Parker got. So I'm just struggling to see how Mark Ruffalo's Hulk can really fit into this Spider-Man story. And I was kind of hoping that this movie would strip down Peter Parker to kind of his comic counterpart. And I'm not saying the other movies were comic accurate, but I was hoping that with like the villains that came in and, take people from maybe Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery, like Scorpion or Tombstone or people like that. And with the supporting characters, I was hoping for someone more like Daredevil or someone like Punisher, Charlie Cox's Daredevil and John Bernthal's Punisher. I was hoping for someone more like that because I feel like that would make more sense with the story they're trying to tell. And they're not as big names as Hulk, obviously. Hulk, one of the biggest Marvel characters, one of the most popular Marvel characters out there. But my concern is that I have a couple concerns, and I think the first thing is the fact that like I was expecting someone like a Daredevil or someone like a Punisher or I don't know any of those other street level characters, even like Echo, for example. Like that's somebody who'd make more sense, especially if Kingpin's coming into the story, and it's connecting to all the other street level stuff. Daredevil Born Again and Echo and Hawkeye and etc. Hawkeye would have been a great choice for this as well. Either Kate or Clint. So yeah, I think that's part of my disappointment with this is just that I wanted a character that kind of was easier to meld in this story and maybe they'll make it work. I'm not saying they won't, but my other concern is the fact that a lot of people have been this is not like rumored, but a lot of people have been theorizing, and I partly think it makes some sense that this movie will kind of set the stage for the return of Savage Hulk. Obviously since Endgame, or I guess technically since Infinity War, Mark Ruffalo's Hulk hasn't really had like a huge rage moment. He's been not able to get the Hulk out in Infinity War, and then Endgame beyond, he was Professor Hulk, melding the two together. And I'm not someone who really minds the Professor Hulk character. Like that's not me. I know people don't like it, and I'm just not the biggest Hulk fan, so I don't really have too much of a stake in this kind of case. But I didn't mind the Professor Hulk, like especially in She-Hulk as kind of a mentor. But I think a lot of people have been waiting for him to kind of get back into that Savage Hulk range, and so have I. I kind of think at this point it's kind of run its course. We can get back to the actual Hulk from the Avengers and Age of Ultron and his own solo movie, obviously. So I understand that, and that's my concern is that I don't really want to have a Hulk, Savage Hulk arc in a Spider-Man movie, especially the first movie after No Way Home. Um, like the idea that Savage Hulk could be the villain of this movie, like I can't get on board with that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it, but like I personally do not like the idea of him being the main villain of this story. I don't like that as a concept, and I'm going to go on in a second and say what I do like as a concept for this character, but if that is what we're doing here, not only is it weird that they're bringing in Hulk and like telling if he does become Savage Hulk by the end of the movie, not only is it weird that they're bringing in like that character and having his arc come in throughout a Spider-Man movie. Like, I don't understand why you choose this movie to tell that story. You could very easily do it in Doomsday, like instead, and he could be Savage Hulk for Doomsday and Secret Wars, like if you want, or if their movie comes out in between. Like, I don't understand why you would choose this Spider-Man. Like, why are they why are they making the choice to put Hulk hulking out in a Spider movie? Like, I just don't understand that. And the other thing is like, out of all the villains you could have chose, you literally have all of Spider-Man's Rogues Galleries at your disposal here. Like they have not used too much of his guy. I mean, you used Mysterio a couple movies ago, and you used Vulture a couple movies ago. By the way, Vulture isn't dead, so you could bring him back. But like, let's just say those two are off the table. Like, you still have a character like Scorpion, or you still have a character like Tombstone, or you still have Kingpin rolling around. You still have Doc Ock and Norman Osborn. Like, you have so much of his Rose Gallery still available for this next trilogy with Tom Holland. 4, 5, and 6. And I just don't know out of everyone you could have chose why you would choose Hulk as a villain. I'm still skeptical that that's going to be the case. I know that's kind of been the prevailing thought by the public, hearing this news is that this is the time now Savage Hulk is going to come back out. And I just don't like that as an idea. Now, I will say an idea that I do like is assuming that he is the Professor Hulk in this movie, or just Bruce Banner, just, Professor. Bruce Banner. Um, I like the idea of him being a professor, and that is how he comes into Peter's life, and they kind of just do like cool science stuff together. Um, I don't know whether that would come because he doesn't know Peter Parker or Spider-Man. Like he doesn't know him. Nobody remembers him. Oh, I should get into that too. I'll get into that before I talk about this. A lot of people are also thinking that this is going to be there's a comic where the memory spell happens like at the end of No Way Home, and people are thinking that like the comic, Bruce Banner or the Hulk version of Bruce Banner remembers Peter Parker, and he's the only one who remembers him because the spell worked on Bruce Banner, but not Hulk. So Hulk remembers him and he calls him Peter, and it's like a wholesome moment, whatever. I just don't like that idea at all. I heard a couple people mentioning like Captain Marvel because he was in space. Like, remember, I'm just like, dude, like you are completely neglecting the severity of the spell and the importance of the spell as a narrative tool if you have one random character remember him, because then it's like, what's the point? Like, what is the point of doing this spell where Doctor Strange makes everybody forget about Peter Parker, and it is a complete reset of his life? Spider-Man is or Peter Parker is gone, but Spider-Man lives on. That was the last line in the script of No Way Home. And if you just bring in Bruce Banner and or Hulk or Savage Hulk or whatever, like you just bring him in and he remembers Peter Parker and that's like a storyline in this. Like I just don't like that idea. I get it, it's a cool comic moment and I get why people want it, and like I know that we want Spider-Man to have people remember him, whatever. But like for me, I thought that the spell as a narrative tool for Peter Parker was so interesting, and I love No Way Home so much, and I love that ending so much where he goes and he doesn't tell Zendaya or Zendaya's MJ, and then he just swings away at the end, the final swing. I love that ending so much, and I think you would totally undermine it if you made a character right away in the next solo movie just be like, "Oh wait, I remember you because I'm this green monster. Now I remember you." And like he's fighting Savage Hulk, and then they freeze and they remember each other. Like I just think I'm not in on that idea at all. Like I'm just not. I really hope they don't do that. And I would not be happy with that idea. But anyway, like I said, the one idea that I would like is Peter having Bruce as a professor. And I don't know how that would come in. I don't know how they would kind of connect there because, like I said, we're assuming that Bruce doesn't remember Peter, so like he wouldn't think of going to Bruce and vice versa. It could be something as simple as we know Peter's probably going to college right now because that's kind of how the how kind of No Way Home ended. It looked like he was enrolling for school and like buying textbooks and stuff. So it would be something as simple as like Bruce is just being guest professor at the school, and Peter remembers him and kind of seeks out his help with whatever science problems he has in this movie. We just don't know enough to really judge that, but we obviously know there's rumors about him getting the symbiote suit in either this movie or Doomsday. So if the symbiote is involved in this story, which mostly through this entire crazy rumor mill, most scoopers and outlets have said that the symbiote will play a role in this story. So I think we can trust that. And assuming that's the case, that's an avenue they go is Peter either gets attached to the symbiote or kind of encounters this symbiote, wants to study it, call in this professor that's at his university that he forms kind of a bond with. And that's kind of how Bruce Banner comes to the story. But part of me thinks like, is that just is him simply being a professor that helps him out with the science stuff? Is that enough to be the MCU guest star? Which is why this choice is just so confusing to me. I don't totally see how this normally and simply and kind of slides into the story of this movie. And again, we don't know a lot about this movie. Like we really don't. But really what we can assume is if this movie is coming out, what is it? 5 months before Doomsday comes out, and they delayed Doomsday, like we can assume that this movie will be grounded based on the ending of No Way Home, with the whole reset for the character and all that, and the fact that this is taking place before Doomsday. Like we can assume that. So with that in mind, I just don't know why they chose Hulk for a character to be the MCU guest star. If anyone they could have chose, I'm not saying like Hulk's like not a grounded character. I'm not saying he can't be a grounded character, but the idea that like Savage Hulk is the villain of this movie and he like remembers Peter because he was not in Hulk form when the spell happened, like that just sounds so stupid to me. I'm sorry. Like again, I I'm trying, and I said this the last time I talked about this movie. I'm trying my absolute hardest to trust the people at work here, which to me is Tom Holland, Kevin Feige, and Destin Daniel Cretton, who's the director. I'm trying my very hardest to trust that even with all these rumors that come in, and this is what I've been doing when these kind of weird rumors are coming out about Noel being the villain from Venom 3, or like some there were so many I can't even the rumors that have come for this movie. It is literally the most rumors I've ever seen for a film in the lead up to its release. No Way Home had a lot during the filming and I should say in the lead up to filming. That's what I meant. No Way Home had a lot of rumors during filming and like in the lead up to the actual movie. But this movie, from when it was announced to filming, which still hasn't even happened yet, we still got 2 more months for the rumor mill to spin. Um, I have never seen a Marvel movie have this many rumors ever before. But anyway, um, I've lost your train of thought there. What was I talking about before that? I just think that out of all the options you could have chose with this movie and all the avenues you could have gone, bringing in Hulk, even if the professor idea is a thing, it just seems like such a strange choice for me. And again, I want to trust the filmmakers. That's what I was saying. I do trust the filmmakers. Like I do trust that Tom Holland would not sign on for a movie that would not do justice to the character after the amazing movie that was No Way Home and the amazing ending that was No Way Home and that kind of reset for the character. Obviously, we know that whatever does happen in this movie, it has to end in some way that sets up Peter Parker's appearance in Doomsday, which is not confirmed, but we can expect that he'll be in it now because again of the delay, and it's Spider-Man. Like this is Marvel's biggest IP. They don't want him sitting out an Avengers movie, and it's also the Russo's favorite character. So like I just don't see him sitting this out. Um, so whatever does happen at the end of this movie has to set up that. But still, assuming this movie is like 2 hours, 20 minutes, the first hour and or the first 2 hours can be focused on just a grounded street level story with the Rose Gallery and Daredevil and Punisher. I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. Or I should say, I don't know if those two characters are going to appear anymore. Because in these movies, they're not really known to have like multiple MCU guest star. That's usually just one. If you're looking back at the other movies, you can see that. I mean, No Way Home was just huge in scale, with the two Spideys coming in, but that also wasn't until the end. Those two weren't the guest stars. It was Doctor Strange. So yeah, I mean, I would not have gone this route for the story, with bringing Hulk in out of all the people you could have chose for the guest star. And maybe that wasn't all they could have chose. Maybe there wasn't a lot of options because of scheduling and other stuff. But assuming that they had the option, this is not who I would have chose, which is why I'm kind of listing my concerns here today. But I will say that I still have faith in this movie just based on the fact that the people working on it, I really do trust and have proven in the past. Destin Daniel Cretton obviously directed Shang-Chi, which was amazing. And we know that Tom Holland really cares about this character and wants to take good care of this character. And yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say about it besides from that. I just think that hopefully that this rumor, I was gonna wait to talk about this until this rumor got confirmed by a reliable outlet, like Variety, or 100% reliable outlet, I should say, like Variety, Deadline, or even Marvel themselves, or like Tom Holland or Mark Ruffalo. But knowing them, they would have let it slip because they spoil everything. But I wanted to get a video out this weekend, and I thought this would be good to talk about. So my opinion on this will stay the exact same if this does come out. Literally, I mean, it could come out today. I'm recording this on Friday and I'm going to upload it on Friday. So, like, this could come out literally today that Mark Ruffalo is confirmed, or if it's fake, like it could. But my opinion on it's not going to change between now and then, which is why I didn't wait. But yeah, I'm hoping in the next couple months. Oh, the other thing is that the article said that they are expecting to enter production in late July. So it seems like it's following a similar track to Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four literally started filming the day after, or it was they started filming 2 days after the. How am I going to put this the correct way? Anyway, Fantastic Four started filming. They went to San Diego Comic-Con on July 27th, 2024, and the next day they started filming. So we obviously know the movie is coming out July 25th this year, so it's basically a year apart they started filming. And Matt Chapman, the director of Fantastic Four, was on board for the movie way ahead of time, so they were able to do a lot of work on like the VFX and the previs and all that before the movie, which obviously helped it. Obviously, a 1 year turnaround to filming and releasing a movie is not ideal unless you have creatives on board beforehand and you kind of get that work done before and get that story sorted out before to where you aren't crushing your VFX artists, a week before release. But yeah, it seems like Spider-Man Brand New Day is following the same filming path as that movie, and obviously we'll have to see how that turns out if it is good and if it looks good. But everything we've seen so far in the trailers and stuff tells us that it will look good. So, and Destin Daniel Cretton has been attached for a very long time now. I think it's been like almost a year. So he's had the same thing with Shackman, where he's had time to kind of craft his story and get ready with the visual effects and all that, and stunt coordination and everything like that. So like I said, if this rumor holds true, they're expected to begin filming in late July. And that would mean that as long as they kind of are efficient with their filming and get the same kind of amount done that Fantastic Four did in that amount of time, they will be on track for release I actually think it's July 31st. I think I said July 24th earlier. I'm going to look this up real quick. Spider-Man, Brand New Day, release date. Yeah, July 31st. So I said that's my bad. I said July 24th earlier, but I forgot to get delayed a week like a while ago. So yeah, July 31st, 2026 is when Spider-Man Brand New Day is expected to release. And a lot of people assume that it might get delayed before and after the Doomsday announcement, because before people were saying that there's so many rumors. I don't know what the difference between the difference was people were saying before and after, but people were expecting that it could be delayed back in the year because there were so many random rumors flying around. They haven't even started filming yet. But again, like I said, if this movie is on track to start filming in late July, as this rumor from Nexus Point News says. If that is true, then they should be fine for making that July 31st release date. As far as we know, and as far as it seems, they should be fine for making that release date. I don't think it's the most unlikely thing in the world. They could delay it a couple months. Doomsday is, I think, December. I don't know. I should have this stuff ready, shouldn't I? Doomsday is December 18th. So, like, if you're looking for a range of when they could delay it to, they can only do it a couple months because they don't want it to be in any way in conflict with Doomsday and IMAX screens, but also just in general for box office and stuff. So if they were to delay this, I think it would only be like into September and maybe like, or maybe into October. Like, I just don't see them going all the way to November. But the bottom line is, I don't think they're going to delay this movie because, like I said, we've been starting to hear a little more in terms of like reliable rumors about what this movie is going to be now that they've delayed Doomsday past the movie. And we're starting to get a couple cast members officially confirmed, like I said, with Sadie Sink and Liza Colon-Zayas. And we already got Tom Holland in there as well, and Michael Mando as Scorpion. Those rumors have been flying as well. I don't have time to talk about that today, but we'll see if that gets confirmed. I'd love that. But yeah, as far as we know, it will start filming in late July and be on track for that release because it's following the same release pattern as Fantastic Four. So, yeah, I'm not really concerned about like it being too late to filming or anything as long as they follow that track. But if it gets delayed, obviously I'll come back here, come hop back on here at some point and talk about it. So yeah, I mean, I think that is it for this Hulk thing. Again, I don't want to be kind of like a doom and gloom and saying, oh, this is just so stupid and all that. Like, I understand it in the sense that like it is a very popular character and is a character that fans have really been in demand for. I just don't know why they're choosing a Spider-Man movie to put him in. I don't know why his next appearance out of all the movies they could have chose, and the obvious one is just Doomsday, why they're choosing to put Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in Brand New Day, this follow-up to like this amazing reset for Spider-Man as a character at the end of No Way Home. I just personally don't understand that. And like I said, I discussed a couple of the theories people have had about this, since the news has come out, and none of them sound appealing to me except for the Professor one, which kind of sounds somewhat interesting because I want to see Bruce Banner and Peter Parker like geek out together. I think that'd be really interesting and funny, and it'd be a good dynamic. And especially if the symbiote comes in, like that'd be really interesting to see Bruce Banner kind of his thoughts on the symbiote and everything. And kind of get our first look at the MCU really exploring the symbiote storyline and have it play out over these next couple of movies because we know in the comics Secret Wars was the comic where Peter Parker first got the symbiote and then it kind of spun off into his own series where he had the symbiote and kind of obviously we know everything that comes of that based on the Tobey Maguire movies. But yeah, I just think that's really interesting if Bruce Banner was able to kind of do science stuff with him. So I like that idea. I'm not like overjoyed by it, but I like that idea. So yeah, we'll see. the one thing we can do is know that there are very smart and talented creatives working in this movie. Whether it's the director or Tom Holland or Kevin Feige, like we know that there are very talented people working on this movie, and that is the one thing we can lean back on. If I have all these concerns, I can still say, you know what? I can sit here and trust the people that work in this movie that if Bruce Banner's Hulk is the one coming into this movie, and assuming it's not just a mandate like Sony said, put Bruce Banner in this, assuming like Destiny and Cretton actually found a good way in to the story for Bruce Banner, then I can just say, you know what, I'll trust them. And that is difficult for me to do because, like I said, I can't really find a natural way into the story for this character. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this news, and we will see again if it gets confirmed in the next coming weeks, or if we learn more about what the role will be. We probably won't know if he's Savage Hulk or not until like we get the first trailer. So don't expect any news on that anytime soon, like what version of Hulk we will get. But yeah, if I had more time today, and I did consider talking about this too, I was going to talk about the Fantastic Four test screenings, and I thought about kind of just getting a little chunk of this at the end of the episode, but um, I have on Discord and on Twitter and in person, I have exhausted my opinions on that particular subject, and I'm just exhausted from talking about it. Maybe for next week's episode, I'll kind of get into that and talk more about it. But yeah, if you want to know the context about this, just go on Twitter. You can find about the Fantastic Four test screenings. I tweeted about it too, so you can look at that. That tweet that I made pretty much encapsulates my opinion about the subject. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. If there is any brand new day casting updates or not confirmation in this case, I wouldn't talk about the Hulk thing again unless there was some huge like line about his role in the movie. But if there's any casting updates on Brand New Day, because we are expecting that it'll probably ramp up if they are really are filming in late July. That means we're basically 2 months out from filming. So if that is the case, we will be getting more reports, official reports about who is returning in this movie, who's joining the cast, all that. So when that kind of stuff comes out, if I'm free, I'll hop on here and record a quick episode about, whatever the cast member is that's joining. Whether it's somebody we know or somebody we don't. So I can promise that I will be talking a lot more about this Brand New Day movie as we get deeper into the summer and as we get closer to release next year, obviously. So yeah, that's my promise that if anything else drops, either honestly, I'll say today, like I could record something today too. If something drops today, I can hop back on here and record something again. But if anything drops today or next week or in the coming months, I will hop in here and talk about it. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I will be back here next Friday as always. I don't know what the subject will be, but it's right now in a really exciting time for movies. Obviously, I did my Mission Impossible review, which you can read. I was gonna do a video review, but I just didn't end up having the time for it. We got Lilo and Stitch out. We got Final Destination out. We have Thunderbolts still out. I saw Sinners for the fourth and final time a couple days ago because it was leaving theaters on Wednesday, so I went and saw it again. Masterpiece. You can read all my Sinners content. It's all on the site. I have reviews, I have clips, I have everything. Everything you need to know about Sinners, I have it. But anyway, exciting time for movies, and yeah, like I said, I'll talk to you next Friday. Unless, I'll see you next Friday unless there is a news drop between now and then that I will hop on here and talk about. So thank you so much for listening. I've been Alex Schlerf, and yeah, see ya.